So I'm Colton from the Mighty Metahumans podcast, and I'm with
Deniz Camp.
another Dennis, Dennis Plus. That's the name of one of our subscriptions, which is hilarious because his name is Dennis.
Beautiful name.
Two Dennises. So anyway,
Dennis's Unite.
beautiful author of beautiful author. You get what I'm saying?
Thank you for noticing that.
No problem.
Everybody always comments on
it. And hey, look, illustrious hair
above all, beautiful,
beautiful, talented. So I wanted to ask you a question about like just comic writing in general, because you're writing a Bloodshot comic, which is Image Comics. I consider them one of the big three. Valiant Comics, one of the big three.
And my creator-owned book, 20th Century Men, is from Image Comics.
From Image Comics. Oh, okay. Oh, you do 20th Century Men?
Yes, that's me. I'm doing that one and Bloodshot, and I'll be for Marvel. I'll be writing a Children of the Vault book.
Okay, so again, you've been a part of three major like different publications, and there's the difference because there's like the golden standard, which is like Marvel and DC. You get what I'm saying? Valiant and Image gets a chance to, in my opinion, do things that other don't get to do, write different stories. Can you speak a little bit about like I guess the differences in like your creative process when you're working with different publications? Like do you feel like you're able to do more in certain places, or do you feel like it's like one of those things where it's like I'm going to use all my different ideas in these different places?
I mean, it is, you get to, there's, that each place you can do different things at, right? So it's like when I'm working with Image Comics, I can do whatever I want. There's no limits. There's nothing that stops me. I can go as far as I want, and I do go as far as I want. Like we go very far in this book. Every issue is oversized because we're making the decisions, and every issue is packed with crazy things that wouldn't be appropriate for just a straight up superhero book. That's just not what anybody wants, and it's not what the characters really want.
That's true
either. So when I'm working at Marvel, it's like, what do I get to do when I'm there? I get to play with a long fictive history, right? So you've got, going back to the 1960s and even into the 50s and 40s with Captain America, you have this really, really dense history of things that actually happened. And so when I'm working at Marvel, I know that I have to write certain kinds of stories, but I also get to draw on this incredible fictional history and kind of interweave it with real history and real events. And it allows you to do something that you can't do in your own creator-owned book, because you're drawing on the work of all these other great creators, and building on that work. And so it's kind of a different set of muscles, but I really love both of them. And kind of Bloodshot was in between. Bloodshot was for Valiant, and there's also a history there that you get to play with, but there's not as much history as when I'm writing Bishop and Cable for Marvel and the X-Men for Marvel. Like there's literally decades and decades and decades.
Bishop is one of my favorite characters of all time.
And Bishop is dope. I've really come to fall in love with both Cable and Bishop. They're super.
You're writing two of the greatest characters.
It's since for me I was introduced to both from the cartoons. And I love them both. They were just the coolest.
The last question that I'll probably ask you is because you're nerding out just like us. What are some of like your inspirations, like for you to get into writing? Who were some of your inspirations? What were some of the comics that you picked up and you were like, yes, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I feel like the biggest ones are pretty cliche, but Alan Moore and
of course
and Grant Morrison,
of course.
I love them both. I especially love Grant Morrison's superhero stuff when I was younger, and then I kind of grew into some of his other stuff, their more experimental stuff, and I thought that was lovely. And then and Alan Moore,
of course,
it goes without saying, Alan Moore is I think truly the greatest of all time.
That's your goat.
Comic book writer for me, for sure. And I'm so inspired by everything he does. Even 30 years, 40 years into his career, he's still doing innovative stuff that nobody else in comics is doing. He's the best.
Listen, Dennis. That's gonna be you. I believe in you. Thank you for the interview, man. Yeah, I appreciate you.